Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the spoiler talk for Fantastic Four, and I have with me Ramiro from Ramiro's Movie News, and...
Hey!
Quiet!
Sorry.
No, I'm just joking. And also Sherman White from Podcast Media. Hi guys, how's it going?
Why are you calling it fantastic? It's called Fan 4 Stick. You've seen the posters.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
More like fan 4 shit.
Yes, thank you.
Ah!
I figured someone would say it. Gotta bleep that out.
Yep, there's going to be a lot of that, I have a feeling, but...
Especially with me in this discussion.
Well, you know, they originally came out with Fant 4 Stick, but then they changed it later to just Fantastic Four, because even the Zoolander trailer made fun of putting numbers in titles like that. Even Zoolander knows it's stupid.
I mean, take 3 and score form. Like, what's the... Oh, man, they do that all the time.
It's
right,
ridiculous.
so...
200 Lander does sound good, though.
It does sound better than
like a prequel to 300.
So what did everyone think about it?
What did I think about it? What did I think about it? Well, let's just say I would have preferred to watch Terminator Genesis in theaters. No, wait.
Yeah,
I would have preferred to watch The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in theaters. No, wait. No. I would have preferred to pay full price, buy a popcorn and soda, and sit my butt down and watch
Battleship.
the entire... No, not even close. We already covered this in the Guilty Pleasure stupid thing, okay? I would have watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 3D IMAX instead of watching...
Be cool.
Instead of watching this movie. Oh my god.
That bad, really?
Yeah,
this is not going to be good, I can tell.
No, I don't want to be that guy, but I actually enjoy those movies with the exception of Terminator Genesis. I think that it's actually I think those are all pretty solid. But that's beyond the point. Maybe it's because I saw it. I was surrounded by like 5-year-olds when I saw Ninja Turtles, so just to see their childhoods being sparked really made me smile. But whatever.
You know what else is pretty solid? Shit.
I don't think it is.
Well, not if you.
Or if it is, you should probably see a doctor, because I don't think that's how it's supposed to be.
Maybe it's enough the price.
Oh man.
Did you guys? I overall don't think it was a good movie, but I don't agree with everyone who says like they just did it to keep the rights away from Marvel. I think the director was trying to make something interesting, but it was just ruined by all the... Who knows? But even he on Twitter is bagging it out.
Oh, yeah. But luckily he deleted his tweet, but people have the internet. They can screenshot things.
Yeah, he's pretty much guaranteed he'll never work in Hollywood again now that he's done that.
I'd like to see his next project, because he wants to do something smart. I'd like to see him maybe do a horror film, because there were horror elements in this movie. But I think that it started out as a creative project, like, hey, let's tell an interesting story here. But I think around the time maybe... And I think there is some truth to that whole Josh Trank showed up on set. And trash and did some stuff to the set because why else would 20th Century Fox, after going through this system of they had First Class and the Kick-Ass movies and Kingsman and all this, why would they suddenly say, okay, we're gonna control everything you do in this movie? And I don't understand, unless they realized that there was a problem here and that we need to make this movie so we can't keep the rights. So I guess there was kind of maybe both situations going on here. I really understand where this came from.
It's interesting that you would say that it's interesting that you would hear that the director went down and changed sets, because in a different review, I think it was Chris Stuckman, maybe it wasn't, but in a different review, he was saying about how when Fox was making Wolverine Origins, apparently the studio execs would go down in the middle of the night and mess around with the set and change stuff. So maybe they tried to do that with Fantastic Four, so that's when the director would come in and he'd be like drunk and he'd be like, "They changed the set!" And he'd just start trashing it.
They should make a new movie. They should make a movie called Fox Trolls, because Fox likes to go and be little trolls and change things when people aren't looking, and then you come back and you're like, "Holy shit, what happened to our amazing movie? Damn it, you Fox Trolls!"
That's exactly what the director said, wasn't it? He's like, "A year ago I had a really good movie. We're never going to see it now."
Here's
the thing about...
history. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and here's the thing about this movie. There is nothing and I hate to say this, but there is almost nothing redeemable about this movie.
I stand by that first 40 minutes though. I think the first 40
I
minutes
mean, the first 40 minutes are whatever to me because
I'd go as far to say maybe the first 10 to 12. Like yeah. When he's a kid, I like that stuff. Whenever they're kids,
but even when he was a kid, it was so super awkward. I mean,
it was.
It was. No, go ahead.
No, it's just like nothing flowed. Like you have the scenes where spoilers if you made it in so far, but you have. Yeah,
there's nothing to spoil in the movie either, though, is there?
We'll get to that, but I mean, it starts out and they're little kids, and I liked everything with Ben Grimm. I wasn't a big fan of his brother seeing his clobbering time. That killed me. But that was the first blow. That was like the Danger Room scene in X-Men 3 for me. I was like, oh god.
Oh, wait a minute. Did his brother say that when he was running after him? I didn't hear that.
He's like, hey Ben, clobbering time. And then he starts smacking him. It was also.
I didn't hear that. That's actually kind of no.
I wish I hadn't heard anything either.
Sorry, man. Go on.
No, it's okay. But I also did like when the mom ran after him and started smacking on him because they didn't just do that cliche of the mom scared of everybody. It clearly shows that they're all tough in the family. But again, they could have explored on that. And then they get older and they all look 35 when they're supposed to be 19. But that's beyond the point. And I didn't feel anything. There was no chemistry. No one ever felt like they belonged together. And like the whole time sitting here, like I don't care about anything. And I hated this movie. It was my first F on the channel, so I mean, it
really is bad. It really is genuinely a bad movie because there was no sense of real passion to it. Like the actors didn't feel you could feel that there was no real desire to have this movie done. Maybe at the beginning, like I always feel at the beginning of a movie, the directors, the actors, they're all super excited. But everything about this movie, since it was being made, nothing was hyped. Nobody was really that excited. And you would think with a comic book movie, there would be leaked set photos and stuff like this of them filming on location. But this movie hardly had any real hype. It didn't have any leaked set photos except for here and there.
The melted
that's
garbage
it.
bag.
Whatever.
That everyone said, hey, that's probably not what it's going to look like.
Nope,
it is what it looked like.
I mean, maybe it's because there's a lot of sets. There's like 3 locations for this movie. You have maybe even 2. There's
it's like the whole thing happened in a building. You never saw outside it. Yeah,
which is maybe why there were not a lot of set images leaked because you probably have a giant soundstage green screen room where you have the really bad green screen. Negative Zone, Planet Zero, whatever I almost swore, whatever you want to call it, and then you have the Baxter Building, which is barely explored upon, which would have been cool. No Stanley cameo, but whatever.
It was just all around. This movie reeked of like real passion and no real desire. It just really felt at some points like it lacked something, like not even just passion. It lacked any real need to be made. Like the actors weren't into, they weren't into it. The director obviously wasn't into it. And every interview leading up to this movie, it was all the interviews that I've seen for this movie that the cast was part of, all of them were super awkward. All of them were just weird and out of place. And the worst part is all these actors, they haven't even seen the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't even think they want to because they feel disgusted by it. They probably feel like, I signed on to be in a superhero movie and now it's going to be nothing more than just a joke.
Yeah.
That really sucks. That really does suck.
I feel kind of bad for Michael B. Jordan because he's got Creed coming out this year, which is probably going to be amazing. But I have a feeling because, they were looking for a younger black guy for Star Wars. And I have a feeling that because he was in the talks for a while for Episode 7, and I have a feeling that maybe he didn't do Episode 7 because he was doing Fantastic Four.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like this is like the Brad Bird Tomorrowland situation where it's like you got the wrong end of that deal. And
this movie might actually be the Sith to Star Wars 7's Jedi. Because if that's the case, not only did this movie cost Michael B. Jordan a spot in Star Wars, it also cost the director his Star Wars gig.
Yes.
So you could say anyone involved in this movie
Kate
will
Mara.
never see in Star Wars.
Kate Mara was rumored to be in Star Wars Rogue One alongside Felicity Jones. That's not happening
Really?
anymore.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's not happening after this movie because she's just awful. Like, there's no one in the cast in my opinion.
She's good in House of Cards, but in this she was terrible.
House of Cards. Spoilers for House of Cards. Are you all caught up in House of Cards?
No. I'm just started watching it. Don't say anything.
My mistake. I'll keep my mouth shut.
If you spoil House of Cards for me, I'll spoil Game of Thrones for you.
But it's just, and here's the thing, like going back to the thing about wanting to watch other movies. Look, I don't like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but even with a movie like that, there was a feeling of effort. You know, there was a sense of real desire. You know, Andrew Garfield was always extremely excited to be on set. He was always very involved with the fans and with the making of the movie. And, you know, even Mark Webb was extremely passionate about the films. Yeah. But this movie just felt like everybody just all around gave up. And they just said, screw it, we'll just make whatever and make the studio happy and leave it as is.
Sorry, go on.
No. Yeah, and the entirety of this movie, I'm just watching it, and I'm just like thinking to myself, you know, in my head, like, okay, when are they going to start acting? Come on, start acting, start showing emotion. And it's so weird because the most awkward scene for me in the entire movie, it's not a shot of two people interacting or someone doing something. Is the fact that no more than 4 minutes of them coming out of that stinking cloud pod thing or whatever dimension thing, it literally doesn't even give you time to breathe. It just says 1 year later, and you're like, what?
Yeah,
what?
That was my reaction too. I was
that was so awkward. That was so awkward for me because I'm thinking in my head, wait, what? Like even in the first Fantastic Four movie when they were, you know, out of the dimension and whatever and got their powers, they adjusted. They showed scenes of them getting used to their powers and, you know, learning how to use them and then having different scenarios of, you know, them individually using their powers for good. And in this movie, they never show that. They just skip to 1 year of like, hey, we've been using these guys as military things and weapons and such.
It's like I mentioned this in my review. I don't mind them like skipping over the whole thing of them learning their powers. I'm okay with that. But it jumps into a completely different movie. It becomes like Reed Richards becomes kind of like Bruce Banner trying to not be used, and I'm like, this is not the movie that we were watching for the last 40 minutes. I'm like, what is this?
The editing's all over this place. I mean, even down to like how it's all put together. And maybe it's because I'm used to like having to listen to audio forever whenever I do a podcast, but whenever a scene would transition to the next scene, you could hear the music cut with the scene. And maybe that was just my theater. I saw
that in your review, yeah.
But yeah, maybe that was just my theater, but whenever the scene would be like they do something dramatic and the music would go da, and then it would cut to the next scene and you'd hear the cut, like it would snap, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, like just fade it out.
Like,
it was so weird.
Guys.
And the only person in this movie who I felt really gave 2 squirts of piss about the making of it was the actor who played the father of John and Sue Storm. Like that guy actually gave passion. But here's the thing: his whole character is the same character that John Kent is in Man of Steel, where he's just there to give motivational speeches. Like, okay, man, great speech. Awesome. I mean, even Johnny Storm at one point calls him out and like, why do you have to talk to me like I'm one of your students?
Yeah.
Like I'm your son.
They could give me something good here. Yeah, I mean, because at the start when he's walking him down the stairs and he's like lecturing, I'm like, yeah, that's how my dad lectures me. He sounds exactly the same. I'm like, they could have did something good, but then as Nostalgia Critic would put it, they Nolan-itis it. Reg E. Cathy, by the way, the actor's name. I just looked it up.
Okay. And here's the thing. Yeah. I feel this movie, and I'm hoping for it to happen because who knows, it could happen. I'm hoping that like Daredevil, you know, Ben Affleck's Daredevil, this movie gets at the very least the director's cut treatment because there are some things that are missing that we saw in even the first teaser trailer. Like for example, Reed Richards talking to Doom while he's on the lab coat. or on the lab stretch.
Yeah.
You know, like what, you know, actually talking to him. Another scene that's missing is of the first trailer that came out showed someone, like I think it was either Ben or someone driving a red Mustang in a cornfield, and there's a lot of stuff that I think they cut out
That was cut.
because you know, and who knows, maybe it will get the director's cut on like the event.
Sorry, go on. I'm just.
No, I'm good. I'm just hoping this movie does get a director's cut.
See, Sherman, this is why we didn't have 4 people, because could you imagine 4 people trying to talk? But I was good, like as you mentioned, Romero and Sherman, you mentioned Indigo, like it was very obvious how badly this was chopped up. I actually even noticed there was one bit, like even in like character stuff, like for example, like when Johnny Storm and Sue Storm meet. Like when he sort of walks in the building, and they kind of have, oh hi, how's it going? And you can kind of see they like each other and they got a good, you know, interaction. But then later on, like Johnny Storm, he's working on his computer, and his sister comes in to talk to him, and he's kind of like just focusing on the computer, and he's kind of being a dick, and he's ignoring her.
Yeah.
And she gives up and goes to walk out, and then before she walks out, he's like, "Good to see you again." I'm like, what the hell was that? You just established they have a good relationship, and now you're showing it that they don't even communicate with each other. And I think maybe that was like 2 versions that they shot, where one where they get along and another where they don't, and they just kind of put them together. And I was like, that makes no sense. Like, what happened?
Is it me or because Tim Blake Nelson is the guy that plays the government guy, same guy that played the leader or supposed leader in Incredible Hulk? Is he like the guy that doesn't get a villain setup? Is he like our new Dylan Baker? Because I don't know if it was maybe just him acting. It's like because every scene that he's in, he's like chewing something. Like, is he literally chewing the scenery here? He was so hammy.
Oh, that's true. I noticed that. I noticed that he's constantly chewing a gum or something, or the bottom of his lip.
There's one scene where he literally walks out of a car and he's like mugging at the camera as he's walking into the building, and I'm like, has something happened to him? Are they trying to make him something that we haven't seen yet? I laughed, like I was the only one laughing at that scene. I was like, what is this movie? It was horrible.
It was.
Can we talk about the ending?
Yeah.
Oh jeez, that was so.
Why did Doctor Doom explode? Why?
I don't think he exploded. I think he just, you know, he's like as he's going up into that thing, he's like, oh, screw it, they messed up everything anyways, disintegrate me, you know? Like, this movie's a big mess, just like my death.
But why did he disintegrate? Normally when that's what he's saying. Normally when they have that in a movie, they have a scene earlier on where they're like, if you try to go through this portal and you're not in the machine, you'll vaporize. So then when it happens, you understand. But they didn't even explain it. He just vaporizes.
But here's a plot hole in that. Doesn't he control the portal? Couldn't he have just, as he's going up, shut it off?
Yeah, because he
opened it. He opened the black hole, and you could kind of think to yourself, okay, wait a minute. Didn't you just show that you can control it by opening it? Why can't you just shut it off?
Yeah.
I mean, and then why would they also think it's a good idea to, hey, let's use his own portal against him, even though he's the one who could control it? And why does he realize that too? Like, oh, wait a minute, I can just shut this off, you know, save my own life. The whole movie is ridiculous. The ending itself, like the last 2 minutes are so weird. Like they're trying to be clever, like to say, hey guys, now that we did stuff, we should. That was so horrible. He was like, hey guys, and then it's like, hey, he goes like, say that again. It's fantastic, guys. I think I have it. We should be, and then the title hits, and I'm like,
no,
you're not Joss Whedon. You don't get to do that.
Yeah,
no.
Look, that's a joke from like they make that joke in Mystery Men.
Yeah,
they satirize how stupid that scene is. Like, don't they even realize, like putting the 4 in the title? Don't they realize that that's dumb? Oh, man.
Here's the thing, like I can't believe it. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know if I don't know. I didn't even stay for the after credits, but apparently they said that there's something where there's a scene where they're actually wearing their suits, like the actual comic book suits with
nothing.
the 4s. There's nothing, right? There's nothing.
I waited till the end. There's nothing.
There was a spoiler that someone tweeted a movie review saying that apparently they wore their original costumes, like they were gonna show their you know, the ones with the 4 and everything on them. I was like, okay, where's the scene gonna show?
How it was gonna end. Yeah,
that's how it was gonna end with them getting the costumes, and it never happened. And I'm like, oh come on! If I had like. if I had at least seen them in their costumes, because I'm watching this movie and I'm getting sick and tired of watching the Thing run naked. You know, can you put some shorts on him or something, or some Fantastic Four thong or something? I will watch him run in a Fantastic thong. I do not want to stare at him naked. The idea that
the Hulk wears shorts,
the Hulk wears shorts. Why can't you put him like in shorts and have him like the fact that you are fighting?
If you don't put him in shorts, all we're focusing on is that he's a rock Ken doll. There's nothing there.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Put some shorts so we don't have to. Think about
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Going back to the Thing. Where's the scene of him jumping out of that airplane that was in the trailer?
Oh yeah, that was that scene.
That wasn't in the movie.
Was that maybe that was when they went to try to get Reed Richard when the movie changes?
No, because it's like in the scene it's nighttime and it's cloudy and he's jumping out of the airplane like grabbing onto it, and I'm thinking to myself
that might have been the bit at the end where they jump into their own Avengers building.
Maybe I don't know.
Because they jump and she puts a shield. No, who cares?
No, because who cares? But the point is here.
But they show it in the trailer like it's an action thing, and it's not. Even if that was the clip, it wasn't an action thing.
When making my review, I was looking at the trailers and I'm like, there's a lot of action in this trailer. It made me want to go back and watch the movie. I'm like, wait, stop. They're tricking you, Trey. There's nothing here.
That last trailer made it look pretty good, actually. After that last trailer, I was like, good.
I wouldn't say it made it good for me. I thought it made it, a bit intriguing. But for me, here's the thing. Watching this movie, and I said it before, I would rather watch Ninja Turtles. I will literally watch Ninja Turtles because at the very least, even Ninja Turtles showed passion. It showed like they were trying to make a movie, and they were actually trying to stay true to the source material. People were bagging on.
You're right. At least with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you can go to the elevator scene and see somebody gets it.
And
there's no elevator scene moment like that in Fantastic Four. Where they get it.
I give the movie so much crap, but there are things in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I enjoy. That scene where they're, after they, say hi to April and they run off into the sewer, I thought that was pretty awesome. The whole snow chase sequence, awesome. The Shredder fight, awesome. But this movie had nothing like that. It had no good moments. It had nothing that showed promise. The fact that the Thing is naked. The fact that these characters have no chemistry. I mean, Ben Grimm, and I counted it, he only has a total combined, I measured this, he has a total combined 6 minutes worth of dialogue.
Oh, geez.
In the movie.
Wow.
He hardly talks in this movie. And here's the thing, too, in this movie that I found so weird is Johnny Storm's backstory. Hey, watch me drive. I'm looking at this guy drive a cheap-ass Toyota car in a drift race, and I'm thinking to myself, is this fast? Yeah, what was that? I'm watching him race, and I'm thinking, I'm thinking to myself in my head, is this Fast and Furious on a budget? What is going on?
That was the Batman and Robin scene whenever Batgirl goes in a motorcycle chase. And that's the movie diverts.
So weird, and then his dad is like, Johnny, you can't keep living like this. You're this reckless life. And I'm thinking, he just drove really fast. How is that a reckless lifestyle? If he were driving like Mad Max Fury Road style, okay, give him stuff about it.
He did crash into a pole, so.
He crashed.
Oh, God forbid he crashed into a pole. Oh no, he didn't. His face gets torn up a bit. Oh.
And it's so weird, Johnny, you gotta stop living this reckless lifestyle. I'm your dad. You gotta stop. You gotta believe me. Please stop.
Nicolas Cage performances, but
I would have perhaps even enjoyed the movie more if Nicolas Cage just out of nowhere turns out to be a dad, Johnny, you gotta believe me. You gotta be a good son. You gotta follow suit. Okay, you gotta follow the kryptonite.
Let me ask you guys, I don't know how much you know about the comic book continuity of the Fantastic Four, because I don't really know that much. So but I did find Reed Richards' character kind of interesting. I don't know whether he's comic accurate or not, but I actually thought that guy played him well, and I was interested to see what would happen with him. Mm-hmm. So despite everything, I would be interested, if they do make a sequel, which I don't think they will, but if they do, I'd probably see it because I'd like to see these actors in a better Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, but
I think they could do a good job with the right stuff. You know,
I understand. Reed Richards in the comics, at least from what I've read. I haven't read a lot of Fantastic Four, but what I've read that he's been in, I know Reed Richards. He's a dick. And that's just, he's not a really cool guy. I don't know if he's not like Hank Pym or anything, but he's really cocky, but not like in the Tony Stark way. He's cocky in kind of the everyone move out of my way, I'm smarter than you, and he doesn't do it in a charismatic kind of way. Especially if you read the World War Hulk storyline, Civil War storyline, he's not a nice person.
Planet
Hulk.
Planet.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about his character in the comic books. He's like Stephen Hawking, but like mixed with James Bond. Like he knows he's smart, but he's suave about it. You know, he's not cocky. He's humble about it, and he wants to use like he said in the movie. He wants to do. He wants to help people. He wants to change the world.
That actually sounds really cool. Stephen Hawking's mixed with James Bond.
Yeah,
that sounds like an amazing character.
It is, but the thing with this movie in general, with all their characters, that none of them are fully developed. Most of them don't have much dialogue. The characters that are the main leads have dialogue, but it's terrible. The movie's pacing is all over the place. It doesn't pick what story it wants to be. It doesn't know if it wants to be a comic book movie or if it wants to be a serious comic book movie. And then on top of that, this movie has an ongoing issue of just all around awkward moments. Almost every other scene I cringed at when they were speaking to each other because it was so awkward. The fact that I forget the actor, I hope I'm not messing with it, Toby Kibble, or the one who plays Toby Kibble, who plays Doom. He was so awkward in this movie.
Oh.
He was so terrible.
That character was a joke.
And how they brought him up was so weird. And I found it so out of nowhere, like they're in the room talking about doing the interdimensional thing, and then the actor who's the villain or one of the villains in the movie just flips through the files. He's like, and it's kind of weird that how after just one flip he found him, like, why is Victor Von Doom on here? And I'm thinking to myself, wait, what? That's how you're introducing him? You're not even going to give us a scene or a backstory or something? No, just flip through a page and see his name, and there it is.
Just say that, and that he tried to blow up the lab. Well, sounds like the perfect guy to run this interdimensional thing. What could possibly go wrong? His name is Doom.
His name is Doom.
Just leave this machine unguarded, knowing that a guy that tried to destroy your facility is right next door. Oh yeah, don't worry about it. We'll just leave this unguarded with people that know how to work this thing that shouldn't be going through it. But yeah, that'll be fine. I have a question about Reed Richards, if I may.
Sure.
He starts out. He's very awkward. Have you guys seen Whiplash?
No, not
the Miles Teller movie.
I've seen that movie. I love it.
Well, do you know how in Whiplash, whenever he first meets the girl, and he's very awkward, he's very shy, he's kind of nerdy, and there was a lot of that of Reed Richards in this movie, and then suddenly in this final battle, he goes from being this awkward, nerdy guy into suddenly being okay. He turns into Fred Flintstone from Scooby-Doo. He's like, all right, you guys do this, and this. All right, you guys do, and there's nothing there to develop and say, hey, this is how he become. There's nothing to show that he's become this character. It all just comes out of nowhere.
Unless you say it was him being on the run for a year.
Well, maybe
which was weird.
That long.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, when they're fighting Doom in the other dimension, I find it so funny that Doom finds the time in all this wanton destruction to say, Reed, you were always so jealous of me. And then,
known each other for like 2 days.
Not even jealous. Like, as they're fighting, he says, he says, you always thought you were better than me. And I'm like, when did he show that? Yeah. When did he ever show or say that he thought he was better than you? Like, you guys had a montage of you guys doing science babble.
Yeah, and it showed Dr. Doom correcting some of his equations.
Yeah, so why would you ever think he's better than you if you were correcting him?
Apart from one bit where he's like, you're supposed to be at work. He's like, we've already finished. And he's like, oh. Like, that was the only time they had any kind of
interaction.
He was just calling him out because he was talking to Sue Storm. Like, if he was like talking to Johnny, then he wouldn't have cared. But
that was a story arc that really went somewhere, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, right, yeah. fantastic.
I find it funny how
Still a better
awkward
love
it is
story than
too.
Twilight, but whatever.
I did
It
like.
makes me laugh so hard when he goes like hey Sue, and Miles Teller is like right there next to them, and then Sue just walks past him. He's like, who's that? He's like, hey Doom, and then he's like, hey Sue, it's good to see you. Likewise, and then he's like, I'm like, wait, did you just ignore Reed Richards when he asked you who he was just so you could ask how Victor was doing? Like seriously, like is that to the point where we're actually ignoring other characters? Okay,
Yeah.
you've obviously given up giving an effort, so I'm just gonna lay back and just munch on whatever the heck is in this bucket of mine.
I did like though how Victor Von Doom, how he convinces them to like jump in the machine, because he's like, you remember Neil Armstrong but you don't remember the people who built it, and I was like, yeah, that's a good point. Like I'd go, if someone pointed that out, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it ourselves. But nobody says, hey, why don't we get Sue?
Yeah.
She helped build it as well. They're like, nah, forget about her. Let's just call in this guy that none of us have ever heard before because he's Reed Richards' friend.
Right, and I find that scene also awkward.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, but I mean, there's nothing like, they have not established that because I don't know if you guys got the same feel I did, but when Victor first walked in, I didn't get the feeling that any of them liked Victor to begin with. I felt like they all thought he was just this big douche of a guy.
Yeah, nobody liked Victor.
Yeah, and so when they're working on this thing for, how long were they working on it? For like, what, a couple of weeks maybe? I don't know how long they built the machine, but when Victor says, let's just go in the machine and go, I'm like, I wouldn't do that because I don't like you, and last time you did something rogue, you nearly shut down the whole facility.
Yeah.
God,
I was confused as to why they even brought Doom in, because they're like, sure, he's been working on it since he was a kid. And I was like, but he's clearly crazy. He's clearly a bad guy. And now you got Reed Richards. You don't need him to finish it. So
the government's working for the government. You know he hates the government. So why would you?
It's so weird. Like that, this whole movie is just a jumble up mess, and the worst part of it is you could feel like the director was frustrated that he wanted to make a good movie, but the studios wouldn't let him make the movie he wanted to, which is almost the same issue that Mark Webb had with the Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, was that he had all these great ideas. And here's the thing, I don't know if you guys have had the time, but I've seen some of the deleted scenes, well, not even some, all the deleted scenes from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and they're good. Like, I look at the deleted scenes and I think to myself, these are things that if Sony wouldn't have gotten involved, could have been in the movie and would have been great, would have been awesome, and would have been, phenomenal and added some sort of development to the plot. But that's the thing with studios, when they get involved, they end up ruining movies, they end up destroying the chance for them to be good, and Fox just did that with Fantastic Four. They did the same thing to, like you said, to X-Men Origins Wolverine, and now they've done the same thing to Fantastic Four, and it's a shame, because they could have done something great with this franchise. They could have had created a universe, but they dropped the ball so hard that now, even if they try to pick it back up, nobody's gonna want to play with them anymore. Nobody's want to like, they're like that kid who has cooties and he wants to play dodgeball, but you don't want to get near them. So instead of trying to play with them, you just hog loogies at their face until they get till you get the point until they get the point that you don't want to play ball, and they just take their ball and go home. So I'm hoping that nobody goes watch this movie this weekend, and that Fox takes that as the box office loogie to their faces, take their rebooted Fantastic Four franchise ball, and just go back onto their studio and just make hopefully a good Gambit movie and don't mess it up. See,
I think this can be salvaged. Because think about it.
I think it can be too.
Yeah, the X-Men franchise started out pretty strong. I'm not the biggest fan of the first X movie, but I love X-Men 2. And then you get X-Men 3, which is crap. And then you get Wolverine Origins, which is just the worst. And then you bring in a director who knows how to do good story and good character, and you don't meddle with them with First Class, and then you get the reinvigoration of the franchise, and then you get the Wolverine, and then you start getting your franchise. So I think if they can get a good sequel going and build up some more good grace to the audience, and then have a box office smash with the third one, I think they can do this again. It won't happen because Fox are idiots, but
Yeah.
that's beyond the point.
But if I could just go off on a tangent for a bit, though it's related to Fantastic Four.
Go for it.
Oh, please! It's been nothing but a series of tangents.
But it's interesting with like the behind the scenes stuff with Fantastic Four. Like it's really come to the forefront of that. There's always seems to be this battle between like the studios and the director and the creative people. But I think it kind of shows because like I just saw the documentary of The Death of Superman Lives, which also goes into a lot of that stuff. Between the studio and Tim Burton. Yeah, it was great. I'm going to do a video on that too. But I thought really, I guess part of the director's job is also knowing how to balance the studio people and perhaps, what was his name? Trank here? Something Trank?
Josh Trank.
Josh Trank.
Yeah,
Maybe
Josh
he just didn't know how to do that because he was an indie director, so he didn't know how to work the whole political thing. But that's like part of being an artist is knowing how to handle the money men. Like another tangent. Like for example, we all know Michelangelo. We all know he was a great artist. But one of the things that one of his best skills was he knew how to handle money people. Because like there's a story from his life where he was like carving this statue, and there was one of his patrons who was funding his stuff said, "Oh, I think you've messed up the nose. It's too big." But Michelangelo knew that from where the guy was standing, he was standing too close because he was looking at it from an angle. It looked like the nose was too big. So Michelangelo's like, well, I know he's just standing in the wrong place, but this guy's very proud and pompous. If I tell him that, he's going to be angry, and then I won't get his money. So he goes, oh yeah, I'll see, I'll fix it. So he walks up the scaffolding, and as he walks up, he like gets a handful of dust in his hand, and he goes up to the nose, and he holds the chisel, and he starts pretending to like tap, but he's not actually making contact with the nose, and he's letting the dust fall from his hand. So after like 10 minutes of doing that, he dusts the nose again. He's like, how's it look now? And the guy's like, perfect. And he's like, well, needed your help. But it's like, see, he knew how to play that game with those kinds of people. And I guess that's a skill that an artist, including a director, needs to have, is how to balance the money people with the creative stuff. Josh Trank didn't seem like he had any interest in doing that.
Yep. And unlike...
Do you think Josh Trank had something great to begin with the first one? Because look at Matt Reeves with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I think what was the biggest film Matt Reeves did before that? He did the Let the Right One In remake, and
he
then
did Cloverfield.
he did Cloverfield, which
that was the biggest film. That was the biggest film that was his first film, and it was a hit, like a huge. Even now, it has a huge fandom. Still.
But when you look at it, and then so he comes in for Planet of the Apes. And Fox, and if you listen to the stories he tells, he's like, Fox immediately came in and said, okay, let's focus on the human characters. And Matt Reeves said, no, we need to tell the story of the apes. And Fox listened. So, and because they thought it was a good idea. So do you think Josh Trank really had something great going here to begin with?
Here's the ironic thing about this whole thing is that Josh Trank's first movie was with 20th Century Fox. They distributed Chronicle. They gave them the green light to make the movie, but it was with a small budget. And they had 6 months, and it was technically, to a degree, I guess you could say, a cult film, so they really...
He obviously had total control over it.
He had total control over it because Fox was like, it's just a small movie, it's not probably going to make anything, here's the money, do whatever you want. But then they gave him this huge film with this huge with this huge following and this huge budget, and they're kind of like, oh crap, this dude's only done a small movie. We should hold his hand so he knows what he's doing. And it's kind of like the little boy who doesn't want to hold his dad's hand as they're crossing the street because he can walk himself, and as he's walking, he like holds his chin up high and struts. He's like basically saying, F you, Dad, I can do this by myself. And I feel like Josh Trank wanted to do that. Like, he just wanted to make the movie he wanted to make, and if Fox wanted to put their noses in it, that he was going to do his best to keep them as far away as possible.
And I think that was his undoing. But in answer to your question, Sherman, like, I think based off that tweet he left, it's pretty obvious that he believes that he had something special.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if there's people who are sinking money into the project, you need to convince them that it's something special. Like, if they're like, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about that, and you just go, well, you don't get it, then they're not going to be comfortable putting their money in that. So I think that's probably, we're just guessing, that's probably why the Fox Studios are like, well, we need to take more control here because we don't trust this guy. So that's just my thinking. If he had played that game more, or had someone who knew how to play that game more, they could have sorted out a lot of these issues. But
you think Kingbird would be the guy to do it, right? You think Kingbird would do it, right? Because he's worked on the X-Men before. He's doing Star Wars stuff. You think Kingbird would be would stand up for the guy, but I guess not.
Yeah.
He probably, here's the thing too, bringing this up, because, he is, his first movie was technically small and stuff like that. But then you got a director like Colin Trevorrow, who's also, his first big budget movie was Jurassic World.
Ugh.
What do you mean, huh?
I hated that. I didn't hate it. I didn't like Jurassic World.
Yeah. Well, shut the hell up and let me talk then. Go to your corner. This isn't for you.
You sound like the commenters of my Walking Dead videos.
Anyways.
Oh, by the way, I caught up on all the Walking Dead, but anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Sorry,
Rivero,
I'm talking.
On. Sorry.
Anyways, I got the stick. I get to talk. Anyways, the reason I'm being called Colin Trevorrow up is because he, his first movie was this big budget film with this huge studio, but the reason the studio didn't get involved was because he had Steven Spielberg's blessing to make the movie. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, maybe if Josh Trank had some blessing, maybe from Stan Lee or from someone who, created the Fantastic Four or something like that, maybe he would be able to make the movie he wanted to. I mean, Colin Trevorrow, the reason he was safe from the whole studios getting involved was because Steven Spielberg was, gave him the blessing and said, here's this money, I'm going to produce the film, I'm going to give you the money to make it, and I believe in you. So the studios didn't get involved because they're like, oh crap, Steven Spielberg, he's been with us forever, gotta, step off. But with Josh Trank,
by the way, Steven, great taste in your choice.
And Josh Trank didn't have anyone to back him up or give his blessing to them. Even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie had the blessing of one of the original writers of the first comics.
Oh, did it?
That movie had the blessing of one of the original writers who read the script and actually helped make them, help do a few rewrites for the movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, maybe if Josh Trank had that kind of stability to fall back on to say, hey, Stan Lee likes my idea for the movie, or the creators of the Fantastic Four comics, they like my idea of the movie, the studio would have been like, oh, okay, then we trust you, we'll leave you to it. But he didn't have that. He only had his own volition to go on, and the studio think that wasn't enough, that, hey, great, your idea's awesome, but hey, how about we do this instead of that, because, you really are going, we don't think you doing it on your own is a good idea. But all around, Fantastic Four.
I think it's interesting though, because sorry to interrupt, but like on that, what you were saying, like I looked at who some of the writers were and some of the other stuff they'd written, and like there's I think like 3 writers or whatever, which is pretty normal for a movie like this. But most of them were the guys that wrote like First Class, Days of Future Past.
Exactly.
Like a lot of the more successful X-Men movies. So like. Sure, he didn't have Stan Lee to come into bat for him, but he could have used those guys. He could have been like, you have doubts about the story, but these guys have written stories for you that have worked before, but apparently he was just too drunk or angry and didn't want to do that.
I just find it funny how Stan Lee has never cameoed in a bad Marvel movie. He never cameoed. He never cut Iron Man 4. What the hell?
Oh, sorry.
What the hell?
Little side
that
tangent.
movie's so bad we never heard about it.
A little side tangent. I call Iron Man 3 Iron Man 4 because, in my opinion, the Avengers was just Iron Man 3 featuring the Hulk and starring Loki. That's just my personal opinion. Sorry.
So you meant Iron Man 2.
Any terrible movie, Stan Lee, if he feels it's not going to be good or he thinks in his mind it's not going to be, he's not going to cameo. He didn't cameo.
He was in the Incredible Hulk.
He was in the original Fantastic Four movies. He was in
the original Fantastic Four. In this one, he didn't even want to. He only had his name attached to the end credits, and that's it.
He was in the original Hulk, the Ang Lee Hulk movie as well.
He was in the original. Yeah, he was also in Ang Lee. But in this movie, like he will only cameo movies that he feels have potential.
Yeah.
Or he feels will have a chance to impress him. He loved, even though Ang Lee's Hulk is, for me, a guilty pleasure, even that movie had creativity. It had a director who knew what he was doing, and that's why Stan Lee cameoed. If Stan Lee will not cameo in your movie, it means your movie is crap. It doesn't have passion. It doesn't show any sort of ingenuity or real effort, and he won't want to be. Even if you're not going to put effort, why should you make the effort to fly on a plane, be in your movie, and just be there for 2 minutes or 30 seconds or whatever?
Well, I mean, if you call him up and he's like, "I'm kind of busy, spider friend. I can't make it," then that's probably not a good sign.
Because people, I guess I know how people felt now after Transformers 4, because, once again, I like Transformers 4. I know, Judas, but that's another side thing, but I guess now because people left Transformers 4 and people were like, that was the biggest piece of crap I've ever seen. I hated that. I know people that got sick after watching it. It was horrible. That's how I felt. Like, at the moment I got home after watching it, my mom said, "Well, how was it?" I said, I gotta go take a shower. I felt so just wrong after seeing them. I didn't know what to do. It was so bad. How'd they mess this up a fourth time? How'd they do?
But I kind of like, I find it interesting in a dissection kind of way, because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, there was like good bits. So I find it interesting from that perspective of like what went wrong.
Yeah.
Because the ingredients were there. It could have been great. But did you notice also, getting back to like the actual story?
Yeah, of course.
There was a lot of...
We haven't even talking about the story of this damn movie yet. We haven't got to the plot.
There seemed to be a lot of people who were jerks for no reason.
Oh yeah.
Starting with Reed Richards' teacher is a jerk for no reason. Then the government, when he's like, "We can open a portal to another dimension," they're like, "What's the point of that?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Of course there's a point in that."
Bandit, to be fair, like that's like 89% of all teachers, so I wouldn't put that on the movie.
I know, but they're even like, even when he goes to teleport the thing, they're like, "Oh, it's just a magic trick," and I'm like, "Dude, it created a force field. You saw it. It happened right in front of you."
You mean like at the science fair? Oh, I thought you meant like in the class at the beginning. Oh yeah, no,
in the classroom as well. Yeah, the teacher.
Because like
and also Sue Storm was a jerk for no reason when she first met. Like in the library when Reed Richards is trying to talk to her, and I was like, "Why is she being such a jerk?" She knows it.
That's how girls in my high school are. Whenever I sit down and talk in the library, I'm like, "Hey, what music?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's nice." And they'll just say, "I'm like, well, I guess I'll be on my way. Sorry to ruin your day." And people are just like that. They want to be a real gritty universe, so like, people have to act real.
just walk away and be like, "Oh, don't be such a Sue."
You're such a Sue Storm.
Don't be such a Sue Storm. And then it's just the story. Like, there's a lot of random moments in this movie that just never connected. Like they never showed how Reed Richards got into the damn grim junkyard. How little Reed Richards got in there. And that kid was horrible. That little kid was a horrible actor. I could literally see his... Yeah, he was terrible. Yeah. I could literally see when his eyes were moving to read something off a teleprompter or something. Like, he was just reading these huge cards, and he was just like, quantum fields generated by something. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
But also, like, why did they make Reed Richards that smart as a kid? Like, I know he's supposed to be a genius, but even geniuses in real life are not that smart.
I mean, even in Tomorrowland...
He shouldn't have been that smart when he's 9.
But look, even with that, like, but here's the thing: going to Tomorrowland, Tomorrowland, that little kid, yeah, sure you have. That little kid is smart. He's super intelligent. But the difference between him and Reed Richards, young Reed Richards, is that with the kid in Tomorrowland, he showed passion. Like, he wasn't just doing this to be a smartass. He was doing this because he loved it, because he wanted to do it, because he wasn't trying to be weird. He was actually excited to see if it would work. But with young Reed Richards, it was like he was being a politician. Like, no, damn it, interstellar travel can be done, but I nominate me for president, even though I'm 9 years old, because I believe in teleporting little cars to outer space and such.
Yeah.
And it's like he was so monotone and so terrible. Every person in this movie spoke like they were a robot. Yeah. None of them were just. They were just felt like they were just reading their scripts, you know, and it was so bad.
I thought the kids were the best part, were the best actors in the movie. Maybe it's because they were in it so little, but because like Miles Teller, who is a fantastic actor, no pun intended. Have you guys ever seen The Spectacular Now? That movie he did with Shane Lee?
Yes, I did.
He's great. He's great in that. Great in Whiplash. He's even okay in Divergent. But him there, like when he's yelling at there, he's like, "No, wait, don't do this. No, stop, wait." I'm like, "What are you doing?" And then everyone else. Oh, sorry, I hit my desk. Everyone else is just there, just being just a bore, and it's.
And it's so funny, too, that you bring that up about him, how he yells, because when Victor is falling into that green energy thing, he doesn't even scream his name, like, he's just like, Victor, oh no, you're possibly dying. Oh, don't worry about it, it's just stupid little kids.
Oh, sorry, I thought...
you know what else is, like, I found it just kind of hilarious, because, like, obviously... Team movie, they always want to throw in that teamwork thing, like when Father Storm dies and he's like, look after each other, you got to work together, and I'm like, they've never had any problem working together, okay? It's like, the only one who had a problem working with them was Doom, and he's not there now, so don't throw in the whole thing of we've got to work together if they never had any problem working together. And it's not the Avengers where they're at each other's throats.
If you know someone's to blow up, if you know someone's blowing up heads, which is a cool scene by the way, if you know someone can walk by and blow up your face without even looking at you, you don't, and you've seen it happen, you don't just walk up to them and say, stop, we can help you. They clearly don't want to be helped. No, you call your superpowered children and tell them to sneak up from behind and blast them in the back of the head. You get your guns. You don't just... stupid people.
Yeah, I was just a thing to smash him. He's not going to burst the thing's brain. It's made of rock.
Which, by the way, that's another deleted scene. Wasn't there a thing in the trailer where it looked like the thing was about to deliver a huge punch to Doom?
Yes.
Like, that's in the trailer where he's like, there's this huge thing and he's holding down Doom like he's about to deliver this huge punch. This whole movie was weird. Even the death.
He could have done more clobbering. He didn't do much clobbering.
Even the death of Sue and Johnny's dad was so, like, the way they were like, no, Dad, don't die. I'm sorry, Dad, that you're dying. And that you look like...
This is so mildly annoying.
Yeah, this is, oh my God, you're dying. This is, oh God, no. You look like a burnt tofurkey. Oh, sorry. Your teeth are coming out of your skull and melting like butter. Oh no.
Actually, that was better acting than in the scene, but anyway.
Go ahead.
When that government agent died, like when the first head exploded, like that took me at like I did take my movie, but I was sitting in the theater. I was so bored because I read somewhere that guy was gonna become Mole Man. I'm like, so they're not gonna kill the agent guy, and then his head just explodes, and like everyone else went ooh, and I stood up and I said, whoa, okay, good, great. Can we have a good third act? Nope, that was it. Okay. And I just slouched back.
I just remember watching those scenes of him just splatting people's heads on the wall and making them bleed, and I was just in my head like thinking to myself, headshot. I could just imagine Kingsman. I could just imagine him. I could just imagine him in his head, like walking down the aisle, like do blood, do blood.
Outright strike.
Damn you, copyright robots.
I want to go back to real quick about the story that I found so unbelievably stupid. Reed Richards is drunk and calls his friend to say, "Hey, dude, are you sleeping? Because guess what? I don't want you to come over and just hang out and have a beer. How about you come over, we try on these spacesuits that we haven't tested ourselves,
and go into another dimension.
Again, we go into another dimension and possibly die."
I want you to get in your car at 1 a.m., drive for an hour and a half into the city.
And he doesn't even say anything like why or how come. He's just on his on his phone okay. It's like a mild, it's just another thing, like getting a call from your friend late at night to go get some munchies at 7-Eleven. No, he's just he treats it like it's nothing. Like, okay, I'll go into an interdimensional.
Yeah, he should have called him up and been like, we're going to do this trip. We're going to do it now. I want you to be a part of it because we never would have made this if you hadn't worked with me. Then he'd be like, yeah, I want to be a part of it. Yeah, but he didn't even say that. He's just like,
didn't even do anything. He didn't do anything to make the machine. Like, honestly, thinking to myself, he's probably like, he was just, I could imagine Reed Richards like, I want you to interstellar travel with me because you gave me that small Switch Army knife to fix my first machine and stuff. And come on, I'm drunk, let's do science! Woo!
Get scrap parts from your junkyard.
I could just imagine him, like, saying, like, F*** you, science! Well, let's go to space and stuff.
Let me mark that minute, hour 30 seconds. Let me mark that right.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's just...
But also, like, yeah, there were so many what moments, like they have that bit where the guy comes in and he's like, hey, you sent the monkey over and he came back, okay, great, now we're going to bring NASA in, and they're all like, this is a betrayal! And I was sitting there and I was like, I was assuming that NASA was already involved.
Yeah, like...
I was like, you mean they're
I'm
not...
sorry. You could have easily made them astronauts. You could have easily just had them, like, have a scene of them, like, training to be out there in the field easily. But no, you want to add a concept.
I'm sorry.
How come NASA's not already involved?
I'm just laughing. To me. I'm just laughing my butt off because you brought up the monkey thing. I remember watching the monkey and thinking, oh god, it's the leftover CGI from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And I'm watching this, and then also, like, on the drive home, I'm like, what if that was young Caesar before he got the drugs, and then he's actually being taken back to the lab where he's like, oh my god, it could be and then I'm like, I'm going to write a fanfic. I'm going to make this canon.
Well, I thought maybe the planet's going to give that monkey superpowers and it'll turn into, like, Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah.
Fantastic Dawn of the Planet of the Four Apes. I gotta write that down.
Oh no, God! But this movie was
man.
What was with all that anti-authority stuff? Like, it's fine to have that message in a movie, but I don't even know what they were trying to say. I was like, you're not Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier set up a conflict and it had a message to tell. You don't. You got government being jerks for no reason.
Let's not get hasty here, ladies and gentlemen. As being one of the 8 people on the planet that did not enjoy Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I know.
Probably like Ant-Man the douche.
Hold on. You serious? You really didn't like it?
Well, I mean, I guess maybe it might have just been the time, because I don't want to get personal here, but I wasn't having the best time of my life when I saw Winter Soldier.
Okay.
And having seen, like, the Avengers, and then Iron Man 4, and then Thor: The Dark World, and they're all the fun Marvel formula that we've come to know and love, and then suddenly you have Winter Soldier be this kind of political spy. I thought it was kind of boring when I first saw it. I think
that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, because it is a shift in tone from the Marvel.
It's gotten better as I've watched it over time. But
that's why I liked it, because I'm like, we've seen the Marvel formula. Like with Ant-Man, I'm like, it's good, but we've seen it all before. But
it's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just not in my taste. Like your Man of Steel thing, it's just not in my taste. But I will know it's a great movie. Anyways.
I think at the end of the day, like, Fantastic Four will be the movie that you'll watch when it's on TV if nothing else is on, or you might watch it, or during the ad breaks of something else, you might flick over and watch it. That'd pretty. But for anyone listening, if you want to go and see a movie, just see Mission Impossible 5.
This is
much better.
This is the movie that'll, when I watch it or if I hear about it again, I'll just think in my head, it makes Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles look like Jesus. But the point is, Fantastic Four is terrible. Instead, go watch Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F this weekend, because at least that shows some effort.
The point of this video is that if you do like Fantastic Four, you are a sadist. They're usually like 2 movies a year that I see. I'm like, that was really terrible. For me last year, it was Annie and Tusk. Those are the movies that I saw last year, and I'm like, those are...
You saw Tusk? I never saw it.
It's bad. It's really bad. It's a guy just adding on to his own ego because he wants to be cool. But
that's funny, because when I saw that trailer for Tusk, I was like, is this a horror movie with a bit of comedy, or is this a comedy with a bit of horror?
Also, is that Bryan Cranston?
No, it's an awkward movie that doesn't know what it wants to be, but it has.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
it has a 10-minute theme with
Fantastic Four. Yes, of course, it's an awkward movie.
But so this year, the worst movies I've seen have been Terminator Genisys and Fantastic Four.
So thanks everyone for joining us. I want to thank you, Romero, and I want to thank you, Sherman, for helping me out with this spoiler talk video.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to check out either of their channels, click on the annotations here on the screen, or the links down below, or the card in the top right corner.
Ooh, fancy.
There's so many different things now. With you.
Just do it!
Do you want a Shia LaBeouf? I can put in a Shia LaBeouf.
Well, I mean, you promised that you would stop Shia LaBeoufing, but for our sake, put in another one.
Put in a Shia LaBeouf and put a Michael Scott saying, "No, God, please, no, no, no."
You have got it. You have got it.
What you're about to witness is quite definitely harrowing. British artist Jack Evans, who was raised in Mansfield, heart of the Midlands, is now at one of the most southern parts of the UK, Brighton Beach, in the hellish winter cold, laid out in nothing but Ray-Bans, his favourite pair of Speedos, and a fucking tacky shit gold watch, eating what I believe those Brits call a 99 flake. His body looks glorious as it shivers in the wind, and I do have to remind you, especially the ladies, that it was fucking cold. Enjoy.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!